I spent 30 years addicted to chaos. And I didn't even know it. I thought I was just unlucky. That drama followed me. That my life was naturally turbulent. That peace was for other people. People with easier lives. Simpler problems. Better circumstances. But the truth was harder to swallow. I was addicted to chaos. I created it. Sought it out. Couldn't function without it. Drama was my drug. Turbulence was my normal. Crisis was my comfort zone. Peace terrified me. Calm felt like danger. Stability felt like the calm before the storm. So I'd sabotage it. Create problems. Manufacture drama. Anything to get back to the chaos I knew. And when I finally lost my addiction to chaos, when peace finally became possible, I realized something shocking. I had no idea how to live in peace. Had never learned. Had actively avoided it my entire life. This is what addiction to chaos looks like. And what happens when you finally let it go. My addiction to chaos started in childhood. But I didn't create it then. I inherited it. My home was chaotic. Unpredictable. Volatile. My parents fought constantly. Money was always a crisis. Every day brought new drama. Nothing was ever stable. Ever calm. Ever safe. As a kid, I adapted. Learned to live in constant alertness. Always waiting for the next explosion. The next crisis. The next problem. My nervous system was wired for chaos. Calm moments felt wrong. Dangerous. Like I needed to brace for impact. My body never learned to relax because relaxation meant vulnerability. I became hypervigilant. Always scanning for threats. Always preparing for disaster. Always ready for things to fall apart. Because they always did. This wasn't a choice. This was survival. This was learning to function in an environment where chaos was constant and peace was non-existent. But this survival mechanism became my operating system. Long after I left that environment. Long after the chaos was optional. I still sought it out. Still created it. Still needed it. By my late teens, the pattern was clear. To everyone but me. I'd pick turbulent friends. People with drama. Problems. Crisis. The calm, stable people bored me. Felt flat. Uninteresting. I'd create conflict where none existed. Pick fights. Stir things up. Make mountains out of molehills. Because the adrenaline of conflict felt like home. I'd date people who were wrong for me. Unavailable. Unstable. Dramatic. The push and pull. The ups and downs. The constant tension. That felt like love. Stable, healthy people felt boring. If someone was consistent, I'd lose interest. If things were going well, I'd sabotage it. If life was calm, I'd create a crisis. I told myself I just had bad luck. That I attracted drama. That my life was just harder than others. But the truth was, I was the common denominator. I was choosing chaos. Creating chaos. Needing chaos. Because without it, I didn't know who I was. Chaos is addictive. Literally. It creates neurochemical responses in the brain similar to substance addiction. Every crisis triggered adrenaline. Cortisol. Fight or flight responses. My body would flood with stress hormones. And I'd feel alive. Alert. Focused. Engaged. When things were calm, I felt dead inside. Numb. Anxious. Wrong. Like I was waiting for disaster. Like I needed to create something to feel something. Drama became my drug. The high was the intensity. The crash was the aftermath. Then I'd need another hit. Another crisis. Another conflict. Another situation that demanded my attention. I'd get addicted to the cycle. Crisis, resolution, relief. Then boredom. Then creating another crisis. Over and over. People in my life would ask why I couldn't just enjoy peace. Why I always needed drama. I didn't have an answer. I didn't know. I just knew that peace felt unbearable. Now I understand. My brain was addicted to the stress hormones, to the intensity, to the familiarity of chaos. Peace felt like deprivation, like withdrawal. My addiction to chaos destroyed every relationship I had. I'd pick partners who were unstable, then complain about the instability. But when they tried to create stability, I'd sabotage it. Pick fights, create distance, manufacture problems. I'd be attracted to the drama, the uncertainty, the emotional roller coaster, then be exhausted by it. But never choose differently. I'd date people with addictions, mental health issues, unavailability, crisis-prone lives. Because their chaos matched mine. Because stable people felt foreign, wrong, boring. When I dated someone healthy, I'd get scared, feel smothered, create problems that didn't exist, push them away, prove to myself that stability wasn't for me. I'd have explosive fights, then passionate reconciliations. The intensity felt like connection. The chaos felt like love. Calm felt like indifference. Every relationship ended the same way. In flames. Dramatically. With maximum chaos. Because I didn't know how to do it any other way. Friends got tired of my drama. The constant crisis. The manufactured problems. The inability to just be calm. Eventually they distanced themselves. And I'd feel abandoned. Confirming my belief that chaos was inevitable. My addiction to chaos infected my career too. I'd take jobs that were high stress, deadline driven, crisis oriented, constantly putting out fires. The adrenaline felt productive, necessary, important. I'd avoid jobs that were stable, routine, predictable. They felt like prison, like death, like wasting my life. I'd create urgency where none existed. Make everything a crisis. Work under pressure because pressure was the only way I knew how to work. I'd procrastinate until deadlines were impossible. Then pull all-nighters. Work in panic mode. Get it done at the last minute. The rush was addictive. I'd have conflict with coworkers. Not because they deserved it, but because I needed it. The tension. The drama. The emotional intensity. I'd switch jobs frequently, never staying anywhere too long. Because once I figured it out, once it became routine, I'd get bored. Restless. Need something new. Something chaotic. I called it ambition. But it was addiction. To chaos. To crisis. To never being still long enough to feel the emptiness underneath. Living in constant chaos destroyed my body. My nervous system was always activated. Always in fight or flight. Never resting. Never recovering. Constantly flooded with stress hormones. I had anxiety. Chronic, debilitating anxiety. But I thought it was normal. Thought everyone felt this way. Didn't know that peace was possible. I couldn't sleep. My mind raced constantly. Always anticipating problems. Always preparing for crisis. Sleep felt dangerous. Like letting my guard down. I had digestive issues. Headaches. Muscle tension. All the physical symptoms of chronic stress. But I normalized them. Thought this was just life. I was exhausted. Constantly. Running on adrenaline and caffeine. Never truly rested. Never truly well. My body was screaming at me to stop. To find peace. To let go of chaos. But I couldn't hear it over the noise I was creating. My wake-up call came during a rare moment of peace. I was on vacation. Forced time off. In a quiet place. Beautiful. Calm. Peaceful. Should have been relaxing. Instead, I was miserable. Anxious. Uncomfortable. Couldn't enjoy it. Kept checking my phone for problems. For drama. For something to worry about. My partner at the time said, "You can't just be, can you? You always need something to be wrong." Those words hit me like a truck. Because they were true. I couldn't just be. Peace felt intolerable. I needed chaos. Crisis. Drama. Without it, I felt like I was dying. I realized I was the problem. Not my circumstances. Not my luck. Not the people in my life. Me. I was addicted to chaos. And I didn't know how to live without it. That realization was terrifying. Because it meant everything I knew was wrong. Everything I thought was normal was dysfunction. Everything I'd been doing was self-destructive. And I had no idea how to change it. I found a therapist who specialized in trauma and nervous system regulation. Terms I didn't even know existed. She explained, "You were raised in chaos. Your nervous system is wired for it. Peace feels dangerous because it's unfamiliar. You're addicted to the stress response." This made sense. Explained everything. My constant need for drama. My sabotaging of peace. My inability to relax. My addiction to intensity. She warned me. Learning to tolerate peace will be one of the hardest things you'll do. Your brain will fight it. Will try to create chaos. You'll have to actively choose calm over and over. I didn't understand then. Thought it would be easy. Who wouldn't want peace? Who wouldn't want to feel calm? But I was so wrong. We started working on regulating my nervous system. Teaching my body that peace was safe. That calm wasn't dangerous. That I could survive without chaos. It was slow. Uncomfortable. Counter to every instinct I had. But I committed. Because I couldn't keep living in constant crisis. The first time I tried to create peace in my life, my entire system rebelled. I ended a chaotic relationship. Started dating someone stable. Someone kind. Someone consistent. Someone who didn't create drama. And I hated it. Not consciously. But my body did. My brain did. Every part of me that was wired for chaos screamed that this was wrong. I felt anxious all the time. Waiting for something bad to happen. Convinced it was too good to be true. Bracing for disaster. I'd pick fights over nothing. Try to create the drama I was craving. Test them. Push them. Try to make them prove they'd leave. Because abandonment felt familiar. Stability felt foreign. I felt bored. Flat. Like life had lost its color. Because without chaos, I didn't know how to feel alive. I wanted to run. Go back to what I knew. Back to chaos. Back to crisis. Back to what felt like home even though it was destroying me. But I didn't. I stayed. Sat with the discomfort. Let my therapist help me understand what was happening. Why peace felt like torture. Losing chaos meant going through withdrawal. Real, physical, psychological withdrawal. I felt restless. Like I needed to do something. Create something. Stir something up. The urge to manufacture drama was overwhelming. I felt anxious constantly. My body expected crisis. When none came, it created the physical sensations of crisis anyway. Heart racing. Shallow breathing. Tension. I felt empty. Hollow. Like something essential was missing. Because chaos had filled every moment. Without it, I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt scared. That I was missing something. That I needed to be vigilant. That peace meant I was letting my guard down and disaster would strike. I had intrusive thoughts. Catastrophizing. Imagining worst-case scenarios. Creating problems in my mind when none existed in reality. This was my brain trying to get its fix. Trying to recreate the chaos. Trying to generate the stress response it was addicted to. I had to sit with it. Breathe through it. Remind myself this was withdrawal. That it would pass. That peace was safe even though it felt dangerous. Healing my nervous system was the core of recovery. And it was slow. Painstaking. Incremental. I learned somatic practices. Body-based techniques to regulate my nervous system. Breathing exercises. Grounding techniques. Movement practices. I learned to notice when I was dysregulated. When my body was in fight or flight. When I was seeking chaos as a coping mechanism. I learned to downregulate, to consciously bring my nervous system back to calm, to teach my body that peace was safe. I learned about the window of tolerance, how trauma had narrowed mine, how I'd spent decades living outside of it, how I needed to widen it slowly. I practiced being present, being still, being in my body without needing to escape. This was excruciating at first. My body wanted to flee, to find stimulation, to create crisis. I had to be patient. My nervous system had been wired for chaos for 30 years. It wouldn't rewire in weeks or months. This was years of work. But slowly, incrementally, I started tolerating peace. Started experiencing moments of calm without panic. Started believing that safety was possible. In therapy, I had a breakthrough about why I had been addicted to chaos. Chaos felt like control. If I created the crisis, I controlled when it happened. I wasn't blindsided. Wasn't caught off guard. I orchestrated my own disasters. This was a trauma response. From a childhood where chaos was unpredictable. Where I had no control. Where disasters came out of nowhere. As an adult, I'd rather create chaos than wait for it. Rather start the fight than be ambushed by one. Rather sabotage peace than have it taken from me. This gave me an illusion of control. An illusion of safety. But it was still chaos. Still destroying me. Just chaos I'd convinced myself I was choosing. Understanding this changed everything. Because it meant I could choose differently. I could choose real safety. Real control. Which came from peace, not chaos. But that meant giving up the illusion. Trusting that peace could last. That I didn't need to preemptively destroy it to protect myself. This was terrifying. Felt like free falling. But it was the only way forward. As I worked on my addiction to chaos, I had to prune my relationships. Some people in my life were chaotic. Brought drama. Thrived on crisis. I'd chosen them because they matched my energy. My addiction. Now, in recovery, their chaos triggered me. Made me want to engage. To fall back into old patterns. To get my fix. I had to set boundaries. Distance myself. In some cases, end relationships entirely. This was painful. Felt like betrayal. Felt like abandonment. But I couldn't recover while surrounded by chaos. Couldn't learn peace while engaging with drama. Couldn't heal my nervous system while constantly triggered. I also had to end my chaotic relationship. The person wasn't bad. But the dynamic was toxic. Built on drama. On intensity. On emotional roller coasters. In recovery, I could see it clearly. This relationship was feeding my addiction. Keeping me sick. Preventing healing. Ending it felt like losing everything. Felt like choosing loneliness over love. But it wasn't love. It was addiction. And I had to let it go. One of the hardest parts of recovery was learning to tolerate stillness. My entire life had been motion. Activity. Crisis. Problem solving. Doing. Being. Moving. Never stopping. Stillness felt like death. Like wasting time. Like something was wrong. My body would scream at me to get up. Do something. Create something. Fix something. I'd sit in meditation and my mind would race. My body would fidget. My brain would generate 1,000 problems that needed immediate attention. I'd have a quiet evening and feel anxious. Like I was forgetting something. Missing something. Like calm was the precursor to crisis. I'd finish my to-do list and feel lost. Like I didn't know what to do with myself. Like I needed to create more tasks. More urgency. More chaos. Learning to sit still. To do nothing. To be present in peace. This was excruciating. Every cell in my body protested. But I kept practicing. Kept sitting. Kept choosing stillness even when it felt unbearable. Because this was how I'd retrain my nervous system. How I'd learn that peace was safe.
If this story is resonating with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. But more importantly, leave a comment. Share your experience with chaos addiction. Share some hope. We're in this together.
Without chaos filling every moment, there was empty space. And I didn't know what to do with it. For 30 years, chaos had occupied my time, my mind, my energy, creating it, managing it, recovering from it, anticipating it. Now, without it, I had space. Hours in the day, mental capacity, emotional bandwidth. And I didn't know what to do with any of it. I tried filling it immediately, taking on new projects, creating new goals, staying busy. But my therapist called me out. You're recreating chaos in a different form. Busyness, productivity, achievement. It's still avoiding peace. She was right. I was still running, just in a different direction. Still couldn't tolerate empty space. Still needed constant stimulation. I had to learn to sit with the emptiness, to not immediately fill it, to let it be there without panicking, without creating something to occupy it. This felt wrong, wasteful, lazy, but it was necessary, because the empty space was where peace lived, and I needed to get comfortable with it. In the stillness, in the peace, I started discovering what I'd missed for 30 years. I'd missed small joys, the pleasure of a quiet morning, a good cup of coffee, a sunset, simple things I'd always rushed past, always too focused on the next crisis to notice. I'd missed connection, real connection, not the intense, dramatic connection of chaotic relationships, but the quiet, steady connection of being truly present with someone. I'd missed myself, my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own preferences. I'd been so busy managing chaos, I'd never stopped to ask who I was underneath it. I'd missed rest, real rest. Not just sleep, but deep relaxation, where my body felt safe, where my mind could quiet, where I could just be. I'd missed beauty, art, nature, music, things I'd consumed superficially but never truly experienced, because I'd never been present enough to truly experience anything. These discoveries were bittersweet, beautiful because I was finding them, painful because I realized how much I'd missed, how much life I'd been too chaotic to live. Around month 6 of recovery, I experienced genuine peace for the first time. It was a Saturday morning. Nothing special. I was sitting in my apartment, drinking coffee, reading. No crisis. No drama. No urgency. Just being. And I felt it. Peace. Not boredom. Not anxiety. Not the calm before the storm. Just peace. My body was relaxed. My mind was quiet. I felt safe. Present. Content. It lasted maybe 5 minutes before my brain tried to create a problem. Find something to worry about. Generate some anxiety. But I caught it. Chose to stay in the peace. And it returned. Those 5 minutes showed me what I'd been working toward. What was possible. What life could feel like. It wasn't dramatic. Wasn't intense. Wasn't exciting. But it was real. Deep. Nourishing. Everything chaos had never been. I cried. Because I'd lived 30 years without knowing this was possible. Without knowing life could feel this way. And because I wanted more of it. Was willing to keep fighting for it. Was ready to fully let go of chaos to have it. Around month 8, I relapsed into chaos. Hard. I'd been doing well. Living peacefully. Managing my nervous system. Then life threw me a legitimate crisis. A real problem. Not manufactured. Just life. And I dove in. Deeper than necessary. Made it bigger than it was. Let it consume me. Because chaos felt like home. Felt familiar. Felt like I knew what I was doing. I stopped using my tools. Stopped regulating my nervous system. Stopped choosing peace. Fell back into old patterns. Crisis mode. Drama. Intensity. For a week, I was back in my addiction. and part of me felt relieved. This was what I knew, what I was good at, what felt right. But then I noticed the anxiety, the exhaustion, the toll it was taking. I'd forgotten how much chaos cost me, how much it hurt, how unsustainable it was. I called my therapist, admitted I'd relapsed, expected judgment. Instead, she said, "Now you know what both feel like. You can choose consciously." She was right. I'd experienced peace, and I'd experienced chaos again. And now I could choose. Really choose. Not from addiction, but from awareness. I chose peace. Pulled myself back. Used my tools. Recommitted to recovery. But that relapse taught me, the addiction doesn't disappear. It just gets manageable. As I healed, my relationships changed completely. I attracted different people. Calm people. Stable people. People who didn't create drama. People who value peace. At first, I still found them boring. My addiction still whispered that they weren't enough. That I needed more intensity. More excitement. But I stayed. Pushed through the discomfort. Let myself experience stable relationships. Consistent friendships. Drama-free connections. And slowly, I started appreciating them. The reliability. The trust. The safety. The lack of emotional whiplash. I learned what healthy relationships felt like. No games. No manipulation. No manufactured conflict. Just honest communication. Mutual respect. Shared peace. These relationships were deeper than any chaotic relationship I'd had. Because they were built on real connection, not adrenaline. On genuine compatibility, not drama. I also repaired some old relationships. People I'd pushed away with my chaos. I apologized. Explained what I'd been going through. Some returned. Some didn't. I accepted both. I had to completely redefine what normal meant. For 30 years, normal was chaos. Crisis. Drama. Intensity. Emotional roller coasters. Constant vigilance. Peace felt abnormal. Wrong. Suspicious. Like something was about to go wrong. I had to retrain my brain. Remind myself constantly, peace is normal. Chaos is not. Calm is safe. Drama is not. I made lists of what healthy normal looked like. Stable relationships. Consistent sleep. Regular routines. Emotional regulation. Problem solving without crisis. I practiced recognizing peace as safe. When things were calm, instead of creating problems, I'd remind myself. This is what normal is supposed to feel like. I celebrated small moments of peace. Marked them. Acknowledged them. Made them significant. So my brain would learn to seek peace instead of chaos. This was daily work. Constant reprogramming. Choosing a new normal over and over until it started to feel natural. My career had to change too. My old job thrived on crisis. Constant urgency. Firefighting. Chaos. In recovery, I couldn't maintain that. The stress triggered my addiction. Made me crave more chaos. Threatened my progress. I found a new job. One that valued work-life balance. That discouraged crisis mentality. That operated from planning and prevention rather than constant firefighting. It paid less. Had less prestige. But it supported my recovery. My peace. My health. My old self would have seen this as failure. Moving backward. Settling. My recovering self saw it as choosing life. Choosing health. Choosing sustainable success over chaotic achievement. This shift was hard. Required letting go of identity. Of how I defined myself. Of what success meant. But it was necessary. Because I couldn't maintain peace in a chaotic environment. Couldn't recover while feeding the addiction daily. At 1 year without manufacturing chaos, I reflected on everything that had changed. My nervous system was calmer. Not perfect. But significantly more regulated. I could experience peace without panic most days. My relationships were healthier, built on stability instead of drama, on genuine connection instead of intensity. My life was quieter, less exciting maybe, but infinitely more sustainable, more real, more mine. I slept better, felt healthier, had energy I'd never had while living in constant crisis. I knew myself better, had space to discover who I was without chaos defining me. I still had urges to create drama, still found peace uncomfortable sometimes, still caught myself wanting to manufacture problems. But I had awareness now. Tools. Support. The ability to choose differently. To redirect. To return to peace. 1 year wasn't the end. It was a milestone. Proof that change was possible. That I could live differently. That peace was sustainable. Recovery from chaos addiction is ongoing. Daily practice. I still have to consciously choose peace. My default is still chaos. My brain still suggests creating problems. My body still gets activated by calm. I practice nervous system regulation daily. Breathing exercises. Meditation. Grounding. Movement. Not optional. Essential. I monitor my relationships. Am I attracting chaos? Creating drama? Engaging with instability? I have to check myself constantly. I check my work patterns. Am I creating urgency? Making everything a crisis? Operating from panic? I redirect when I notice these patterns. I celebrate peace. Mark calm moments. Acknowledge when things are going well. Remind my brain that peace is the goal, not the problem. This vigilance could feel exhausting. But it's necessary. Because the addiction is always there. Waiting. Ready to pull me back if I'm not careful. The person I am now is fundamentally different from who I was in chaos. I'm calm. Not emotionless. Not passive. But regulated. Grounded. At peace with myself. I'm present. Actually here. In my life. In relationships. In moments. Not constantly preparing for the next crisis. I'm stable. Consistent. Reliable. Not because I'm boring, but because I'm healthy. I'm connected. To myself. To others. In real, deep, meaningful ways. Not through drama, but through genuine relating. I'm safe. Feel safe. In my body. In my life. In my relationships. This was unimaginable before. I'm at peace. Real peace. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of calm. Of groundedness. Of safety. This person is unrecognizable from who I was. And I prefer this version. Infinitely. Looking back on 30 years of chaos addiction and 2 years of recovery, I've gained hard-won wisdom. Chaos isn't excitement. It's dysfunction. Real joy exists in peace, not drama. Drama isn't connection. It's distraction. Real intimacy requires calm, not crisis. Crisis isn't living. It's surviving. Real life happens in the spaces between disasters. Your nervous system can heal. Even after decades of dysregulation. It's slow, but possible. Peace isn't boring. It's rich. Deep. Full. You just have to learn to tolerate it. You can't heal in the environment that made you sick. Sometimes you have to completely change your life. The addiction will always whisper. Suggest creating problems. You just get better at not listening. You deserve peace. Even if it feels foreign. Even if you don't know how to live in it. Even if chaos feels like home. I'm grateful I lost my addiction to chaos. Even though losing it was brutal. I lost the intensity. The highs and lows. The constant stimulation. The adrenaline rushes. I lost relationships built on drama. Friendships based on crisis. Romantic connections fueled by chaos. I lost my old identity. The person who thrived in crisis. Who could handle anything. Who lived intensely. I lost the familiar. The known. the way I'd operated for 3 decades. But what I gained was infinitely more valuable than what I lost. I gained peace. Real, sustainable, deep peace. I gained health. Physical and mental. A regulated nervous system. A body that feels safe. I gained real relationships. Built on stability. On genuine connection. On mutual peace. I gained myself. The authentic me. Not the crisis manager. Not the chaos creator. Just me. I gained life. Real life. Present. Calm. Rich. Worth living. The loss made room for the gain. The death of my addiction made space for life. Even now, chaos still tempts me. When life is calm, part of me gets restless. Wants to stir something up. Create some excitement. Manufacture some crisis. When relationships are stable, part of me wants to test them. Create drama. See if they'll stay. Prove that chaos is inevitable. When work is steady, part of me wants to create urgency. Make problems bigger. Operate from crisis. Feel that familiar adrenaline. These temptations don't disappear. The neural pathways for chaos are still there. Probably always will be. But I have choices now. Awareness. Tools. Support. The ability to recognize the temptation and choose peace instead. Some days that choice is easy. Some days it's excruciating. But I make it. Every time. Because I remember what chaos cost me. And what peace has given me. For 30 years, peace didn't make sense. It felt dangerous. Foreign. Wrong. Impossible. I couldn't understand people who lived calmly. Who didn't create drama. Who seemed content with simple, stable lives. They seemed boring. Unambitious. Unaware. Like they were missing something. Like they didn't know how to really live. But they weren't missing anything. I was. I was missing peace. Missing the ability to just be. Missing the richness that exists in calm. Peace makes sense now. Not because I've changed who I am fundamentally. But because my nervous system has healed. Because I've learned that calm is safe, not dangerous. Peace makes sense because I've experienced both. 30 years of chaos. 2 years of peace. And I can compare. Chaos felt exciting but was exhausting. Felt alive but was actually dying. Felt like control but was complete lack of control. Peace feels quiet but is actually full. Feels still but is actually alive. Feels vulnerable but is actually safe. I had to lose my addiction to chaos to understand this. Had to experience what life was like without constant crisis. Had to learn that peace wasn't the problem, my relationship to it was. Peace makes sense because it's sustainable. Chaos burns you out. Destroys relationships. Damages health. Consumes life. Peace allows for growth. For connection. For presence. For actually living instead of constantly surviving. Peace makes sense because it's what I deserved all along. What everyone deserves. Not as a reward, but as a basic state of being. I spent 30 years believing chaos was inevitable. That drama was normal. That peace was for other people. I was wrong. Peace is possible. For me. For you. For anyone willing to lose their addiction to chaos. It's not easy. Requires complete rewiring. Constant work. Daily choice. But it's possible. And it's worth it. Every uncomfortable moment. Every instance of choosing calm over crisis. Every time peace feels wrong but you stay with it anyway. Because life in peace is infinitely richer than life in chaos. Even if chaos feels more exciting. Even if peace feels foreign. You can learn to live in peace. Your nervous system can heal. Your addiction to chaos can end. It starts with recognizing it. Naming it. Admitting that maybe chaos isn't just happening to you, maybe you're creating it. Then it's choosing differently. One moment at a time. One choice at a time. Choosing peace even when everything in you wants chaos. Your life is waiting. The peaceful one. The calm one. The one where you're not constantly in crisis mode. It's there. You just have to lose your addiction to chaos to find it.
If you made it through this entire video, thank you. Thank you for listening. For understanding. For recognizing that chaos addiction is real. Chaos addiction isn't talked about. We talk about adrenaline junkies, drama queens. But we don't talk about the deep, neurological addiction to chaos. The nervous system dysregulation. The trauma response that becomes a way of life. If you're addicted to chaos, if you saw yourself in my story, if you can't remember the last time you experienced real peace, I see you. I understand. I was you. For 30 years, I was you. Now I need something from you. If this video resonated, if you felt understood, if something I shared connected with your experience, will you help me spread this message? First, if it feels right, please hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel. Not for me, but so this reaches more people. So more people recognize chaos addiction as real. So more people know they're not alone. So more people find hope that peace is possible. But here's what matters most. Here's what I really need from you. Leave a comment. A real, honest comment from your heart. If you're addicted to chaos right now, share that. You don't need to have answers. Just acknowledge it. I create drama. I can't tolerate peace. This is me. We'll meet you where you are. If you're in recovery from chaos addiction, share where you are. What's helping? What's hard? What surprised you about peace? Someone needs to hear that the discomfort of peace is normal. That they're not alone in finding calm unbearable at first. If you found peace, share what it feels like now. How long it took. What changed? Someone needs to see that it's possible. That peace can become the new normal. Share encouragement for someone who's terrified to let go of chaos. Tell them peace isn't boring. That calm isn't dangerous. That their nervous system can heal. Share what you were running from. What chaos was protecting you from feeling. What you've discovered in the stillness. Your truth might help someone see their own. Share the forgiveness you're learning to give yourself. For the years of chaos. For the relationships destroyed. For the drama created. Someone else is drowning in shame and needs to hear that self-compassion is possible. Share your childhood. If you grew up in chaos. If that's where this started. Because understanding the origin helps break the pattern. And your story might help someone else understand theirs. Share how you're healing your nervous system. What practices help? What tools work? Your strategies could be exactly what someone needs. Or just share love. Tell someone they're not alone. That chaos addiction is real. That their struggle is valid. That they deserve peace even if it feels impossible right now. Your words have power. Real, tangible power. The person reading your comment might be in the middle of manufacturing a crisis right now. Might be convinced they can't live without drama. Might believe peace is impossible for them. Your comment could be what helps them see the truth. What gives them hope? What shows them that change is possible? That peace is learnable. So please, share. Be vulnerable. Be honest. Be part of this community of people who understand what it means to be addicted to chaos. And if you're reading these comments right now, searching for hope, searching for permission to choose peace, you're not alone. Chaos addiction is real. It's a trauma response. A nervous system dysregulation. A learned pattern. And it can be unlearned. Yes, letting go of chaos will be uncomfortable. Peace will feel wrong. Your body will protest. Your brain will try to create problems. You'll be tempted to sabotage calm. That's normal. That's your nervous system doing what it's been trained to do. What kept you safe in an unsafe environment? What helped you survive? But you're not in that environment anymore. You don't need to survive. You can live. You can heal. You can learn peace. It takes time. Years, probably. Daily practice. Constant choice. Active rewiring of your nervous system. You'll relapse into chaos. You'll create drama. You'll sabotage peace. That's part of the process. What matters is that you notice. Redirect. Choose again. You deserve peace. Even if you were raised in chaos. Even if drama feels like home. Even if calm terrifies you. Even if you don't believe it's possible. It is possible. Your nervous system can heal. You can learn to tolerate stillness. You can build a life that isn't based on crisis. It starts with one choice. One moment of choosing calm over chaos. One instance of not creating drama. One breath of allowing peace. Make that choice. Sit with the discomfort. Get help. Do the work. Heal your nervous system. Your peaceful life is waiting. The one where you're not constantly in crisis. The one where you can just be. The one where calm feels safe instead of dangerous. You can have that. You deserve that. You are worthy of that. I'll see you in the next video. And I'll see you in the comments. Stay peaceful. Stay committed to healing. Stay open to calm. You've got this. We've got this. Together.